Deloitte's AI Forum 2025 India. In real time, transforming with AI.
Thank you so much. Now, this session was by popular demand from all our clients, I was telling, on agentic. Like Laura said in the morning, in our survey, we did not have a specific question around agentic. It just came out from our clients and the CXOs we surveyed, and there is tremendous interest and energy around agentic. And currently, I think the latest takeaway so far has been AI or Anjani AI for me. So thank you, Anjani, for that nice session. For the agentic session, we said, how do we do this? We can talk, Deloitte can talk about agents and the client projects we are doing and the agents we are building for Deloitte ad nauseum. But that would be a very Deloitte internal specific take. We work with big tech all the time. They are our strategic alliances. We partner with them. We innovate with them. We take new solutions to our clients, to all of you, with our ecosystem and alliance partners. So I thought how best to do this by just inviting all of you. And I didn't have to look far. They work together. So they are a natural cluster. So, here we have from AWS, we have Biswajit Das. Welcome. He is the head of data and AI for AWS India and SAARC. We have from Meta, Manohar Hotchandani. He leads reality labs and AI partnerships and all kinds of partnerships with GSIs. So welcome, Manohar. We have from Dhiraj Narang, who leads partners and alliances from Snowflake. And we have Sundara Ramalingam Nagalingam from NVIDIA. You still are amongst the top 3 valuable companies, I think, in the world, right? So, so let's go for a very interesting session. I will not do most of the talking. I will let our alliances partner do the talking. And with that, we will get to know the latest and greatest that is happening in the space and form opinions and thoughts ourselves. So welcome once again. I'll start with Manohar from Meta. With DeepSeek and everything else that is going on, there is a tremendous amount of interest from our audience and clients to understand open source, closed source, and how it impacts, what spectrum do they address, and so on. So, Manohar, who better to answer that than you?
Sangha, what happened to being gentle with the panelists?
We'll get to that, Biswa, very soon. But thank you, first of all, for inviting us. And to the audience, how many of you want to hear about open and close? Can you please put up your hand, which also is a good energizer after lunch? Okay, good. For the rest who don't want to, I'll still talk through it. No worries. I think this conversation is a long conversation, but to summarize it, I think both are very good for building a very healthy ecosystem. Why I say this, in the morning you heard very prominent personality talking about how India builds digital public infrastructure on open source. So Meta has released versions of Llama, which we've been doing for last 10 years under FAIR, but for last 2 years is what we had Llama. The first version was actually a research version, which a group of people came together in Facebook AI research and said, you could do wonderful things with it. And we went down that path of open source innovation for 2 reasons. Because one, open source actually helps to democratize significantly what can be achieved and in a faster period of time. And second, gets diverse perspectives into it. Now, some people will say, how does it work and who benefits? Why is Meta doing it and how does Meta benefit from it? So let me give you a view on three perspectives. Some of you are developers in the room, some of you are customers in the room, and some of you are basically ecosystem players in some shape and form. So let's take the developer view. When I give an open source ecosystem to a developer, there's no licensing cost. There's no cost of terms and conditions. They actually go and do what they want to. So they can go build their model, distill, infer, all in their private environment with data being controlled by them. That's the biggest thing that they can do, which basically helps in safety and transparency and a whole lot of other features that gets raised in AI. The second piece is Meta. How does Meta gain from it? We gain from it because everyone gains from it. So we also gain from it in terms of learning, not just at the SaaS layer, but also at the chip optimization layer in terms of how people are building it and how does it work. And third, ecosystem democratizes it. And I'll give you an example of it. 2018, we released a product called PyTorch. How many of you use machine learning framework called PyTorch here? At least quite a few. The balance, I'm sure, would be using some form of machine learning framework. That is significantly a market leader. No one owns it except we contribute to it, and it's a Linux Foundation product that we gave out. So we're very well entrenched in this open ecosystem because we believe that everybody gains from it and nobody gets to a particular point. But what I will summarize, Sangha, here is benefits on both are healthy, it builds the ecosystem, and that's what we want for a faster outcome to happen because majority of the customers need to move from POC to implementation.
I think POC to implementation is what is on people's minds, at least on the minds of our clients. And thank you for touching that. Sundar, may I have you speak through what are the agentic frameworks that are in here right now and how they are shaping up, how robust they are, how they work? If you can just educate all of us on that, that would be great.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure to address all of you. Let me demystify the word Agentic AI first, because I think that is the most used/misused word in the technology world today. Obviously, Agentic AI is the next big thing in AI, specifically on generative AI. So what exactly does it mean? How does a modern organization work today? There is one person running payroll, there is one more person running HR, and there is one more person running taxes, and there is one more person running purchase, and so on and so forth. And these people have very individualized, defined skill sets. A purchase guy has a defined skill set, finance guy has another skill set, defined skill set, but they need to work with one another. The payroll guy needs to work with HR person, right? Then only the organization, the enterprise will run smoothly. Now, imagine each of these Homo sapiens being replaced by AI agents. These AI agents are nothing but large language models, LLMs. There is a finance LLM, there is a payroll LLM, there is a HR LLM, there is a purchase LLM, etc., etc. And each one of them running individually, having their own skill set. A purchase LLM is fine-tuned, is trained and fine-tuned and guardrailed and RAG has been created for doing that specific function. Having said that, let's imagine a scenario, an ecosystem of 10 such LLMs, each one of them individually doing their respective jobs. Obviously, like human beings cannot independently function, independent of one another, these LLMs also need to talk to the next LLM. Right? A payroll LLM has to talk to HR LLM, has to talk to purchase LLM, and so on and so forth. So creating a bridge between multiple LLMs and having an orchestration framework where there is a master LLM which takes care of the communication that is happening seamlessly between each of these LLMs. This is what is the fundamental of an agentic AI, right? Now, the interesting point comes here. It is not the LLMs that run the entire enterprise. They also need to coexist with Homo sapiens, like you and I, right? So how does that communication happen between the Homo sapiens who have been running the organization, who will continue to run the organization, and the LLM? What are the safety protocols that are there? What are the controls that are there? Where does who take a decision and whose decision overrides the other? This also has to be orchestrated once again through an LLM. Right? So, the seamless coexistence of multiple large language models, each one of them adept and skilled to do specific tasks, but having an ability to talk to one another, they coexisting with human agents, people like you and I, and ensuring that the work gets done seamlessly in a much more efficient way than what has been happening today. That is the future of LLM. Going a step further, so what happens when all these things, ecosystems work together? New data is generated. What happened to this new data? It goes and trains the existing database. And your entire LLM ecosystem, the agentic framework, not the LLM ecosystem, the agentic framework becomes better and much more refined, which generates new data, which again goes and makes the ecosystem better. So this is what we call as a data AI or a flywheel, data flywheel, where the data that gets generated from the ecosystem feeds the flywheel and makes it even better than what it was earlier. So this is how the agentic AI is shaping up, and this is going to rule the world. So
That is a great explanation for agentic AI. May I call upon Dhiraj you on shaping up now for this ecosystem to optimally work? Not all agents are born equal, right?
Yep.
Now agents are being evaluated. So what makes a good agentic framework? If you can put together the Lego blocks for us.
So I think I'll take one step prior to all the very, very complex discussions around agentic and so on. And I'll just say this, right? The way I see the way we see it as Snowflake is the whole AI world, the AI ecosystem, is nothing different from an orchestra. And think about it, everybody in this room has a role to play there. At the semiconductor level, you have NVIDIA. At the infrastructure level, and Biswa will hate me for that, you have AWS. They obviously do a lot of other things as well. You have Meta with their Llama capability, and we come in from a data foundation standpoint, data platform standpoint. The vision or the symphony comes from all the audience in the room. They are the ones who determine what they want to achieve as an outcome. And you are the conductor of the orchestra. You are the ones, Deloitte is the one who brings it all together. The tune is set by them, but you make sure that it is delivered at the fundamental level. Now, what are the problems with respect to having this harmonious outcome? Fundamental problem is having data in place. Now, you could have a great agentic framework, but it will not fly unless you have your data in place. And that's the fundamental building block, the DNA of any strong AI framework. And what do I mean by that is essentially as organizations have matured, as they have gone down the path of bringing more tech into their ecosystems, whether they're a cement company, whether they're a tire manufacturing company or an aviation company, what has happened is they have built silos. There's a lot of silos. There's data which is resting in SAP. There's data which is resting in Workday. There's data which is resting in Salesforce. Hell, you move to cloud and data is resting between AWS, GCP, and Azure, right? How do you make it all talk together? And that's where a platform like Snowflake comes in, which harmonizes this as a serving layer. So you bring data into that platform, and then you start to visualize what is the art of the possible. Then you start to bring in the true secret sauce of your domain knowledge to identify those use cases, which you can take to production, which you can use with governed, harmonized data, and partners like you come in to help with your skill sets and build that on top of that.
That is a very, very nice, both artistic and technical way of putting the entire ecosystem. Thank you, Dhiraj. Biswa, how does it all come together and collaborate? I think who better than you? AWS touches us in more ways than one, and Amazon as always. But how would you bring together this collaboration to life? Because I think the AI space is so complex that it takes a lot for it to come together and drive.
So number one, the easiest thing is, by the way, just for everyone, this is the most comfortable panel I've ever been in because we just know each other as individuals, as organizations, which is why this is also the most underprepared panel ever. We just walked onto stage. So if you look at it, right, like he touched on this, if you look at it every layer, and I'm trying to find a simile in my head of what, so let's take the internal combustion engine, one of mankind's greatest advancement in mobility. Have you ever heard of somebody buying an ICE, buying an engine, sitting on top of it and driving off? Does that happen? Somebody had to build the chassis, the carburetor. Heck, somebody had to build the windshield wipers and the seats and the air conditioning for the car. It's where does this all come together, right? Essentially, what you would need to be able to do, and I'm talking beyond POCs, I'm talking on production grade, multiple workloads, right? What do you need to be able to bring it all together? You need the ability to orchestrate the right, most efficient, purpose-built hardware for those workloads that you're choosing because, and Sundar is the best person to tell you, we are creating purpose-built hardware for different types of workload. You need access to not just the newest, but also what is the most effective and efficient model for your workload, which is something that Meta brings. You definitely need a data foundation because otherwise everything else is a pipe dream. See, India is the land of jugaad. You do a POC, हम तार वार जोड़ के POC पार कर देते हैं. Right? When it goes to production is when it actually hits the road. So therefore, what does that mean? That means you need unified access to analytical databases, transactional databases, cache databases, streaming databases, object stores, because that is that's all of this, right? You need to be able to use it. So therefore, you need a platform which gives you multiple things. Number one, like I said, these 2-3 things. It also additionally needs to give you access to knowledge bases, integration with vector databases, so that you can do RAG, right? It needs to give you the ability to build guardrails. So can you lower block hallucination, objectable, content? It needs to give you orchestration and unified access across the entire data continuum, from ingestion to actual output. Right? And that's where you would lean on somebody like an AWS. But finally, if you ask me very honestly, right? See, your business is not to work on the cloud. Your businesses are largely, you build tires, you run airlines, you run manufacturing organizations, banks, financial organizations, right? And it is somebody like Deloitte who brings that domain knowledge to the table, because you have to work backwards from your businesses. There is no technology for technology's sake. And they also will finally bring the implementation muscle to the table, right? So actually, Sangha, you are the ones who stitch it together. We don't. We build between us, we build the bricks, cement, iron rods, etc. We never build the house. You're the ones who build the house.
Thank you for the vote of confidence. I think we don't do it without our strategic alliances and partners and the technology prowess. So here's what we will do. We'll do a rapid fire, 2 questions each, and then we will open it up for 2 to 3 questions. Ladies and gentlemen, this is big tech for you. So please think up your questions while I do a rapid fire. We'll start from that corner, Biswa, with
done.
you. 1 trend and 1 recommendation from POC to scale.
I'll go the recommendation first. I'm going to just pick off, like I said, we are very underprepared. I'm just going to pick off what other people said. I loved what Sundar said, right? That, we keep talking about software and hardware. What about wetware? Human beings, X% water, so therefore I call us wetware, right? So when you really want to scale this, how I see organizations using Gen AI in any of its myriad forms, think of it, picture an inverted pyramid, right? At the top will be organizations who will be using Gen AI embedded into applications that they already have. So embedded into your ERP systems and embedded into your CRM systems, etc. So you don't really need to care about it, right? Just below it will be organizations who, for want of a better word, will use advanced prompt engineering. Let's just call it that. I do not like that word, but let's call it prompt engineering, etc. Just below that will be organizations who realize maybe that's not the output I want, and they will go down to saying, I need to do RAG-based workloads, and therefore they'll go there. Below that will be organizations who say, now I need to actually, it's a great model, but it's not there, and I need to fine-tune the model. And the absolute bottom will be organizations who will say, I will create my own LLM. Now, time, effort, and talent is inversely proportionate here. As an organization, we need to decide, and we'll sit across various of those, pyramid structures. We need to figure out where are we going to sit a lot, and then invest in the talent, because the starting point for that talent when you upskill them is different across the pyramid, right? So if you figure out where do we need the mass, and then therefore, adapt, adopt, build, get, whatever, however you want to get the talent in. Because everything else is theoretical thinking. If you don't have hands on wheels who are going to do it for you, whether yourself or as a partner, it's all a pipe dream again, right?
Awesome. Sundar, 1 trend and 1 recommendation for POC to scale.
Recommendation, just go. I give you 2 nice websites, fantastic ones. They are free to use. Please go ahead and play around with it, and ask your kids also to do it. ai.nvidia.com, build.nvidia.com. I repeat, ai.nvidia.com, build.nvidia.com. There is so many good tools which are educative and interesting. I mean, that's a rare combination, educative and interesting, okay? Just go and play around with it, and a lot of concepts you will understand once you play around in these two websites. Trend. The big trend that is going to happen soon is the amalgamation of physical AI and digital AI, right? Physical AI and digital AI, they are going to amalgamate soon. And this is something which big companies are all working together. And soon there will be factories which are like completely without human being. And please don't get into this question, is this good or bad? I'm not sure about it. I mean, I have two sons, so I'm also equally worried about their future as you are. But then, this is a big trend, the amalgamation of physical AI and digital AI.
Awesome. Manohar.
I think they've all talked about trends, so let me talk about recommendations because it's here and now. For me, every technology trend is here and now. So for me, please try. If you haven't tried, don't wait. There's no perfect moment. And if you have done the POCs, move to production, again, no perfect stage. And to supplement a lot of that, on the open ecosystem, what we've done is also build Llama Stack, which is also hosted on the partner containers for you and everyone else that we work here. Because a lot of feedback came to us in terms of saying, how do we do an end-to-end application? So please use Llama Stack. It helps you with a whole lot of open AIs that are there in a stack format that you can pull in command line interfaces and start to build applications with ease. So my sincere recommendation is please go try it in case you haven't tried it, because a lot of things that they are saying will actually start to manifest in that for you to try it. So it's easy now. Please go and do it. Give us feedback. We'll make it better. Thank you.
Thank you, Manohar. Bring us home, Dhiraj.
So,
one trend and one recommendation.
They're much more technical people than me, so I'll try and keep it very, very simple, right? The way I see, as far as trends are concerned, one thing which will start to happen, and is already happening to some extent, is the multimodal nature of AI. What's going to happen is the physical to the digital, or the analog to the digital, or the unstructured to the structured, whichever way you look at it, AI will start to form that bridge. Think of, tons of claims data which is lying on paper. Acco's starting doing this with amazing, claims within minutes where they're taking a photograph and saying, what happened? Let's just pay your claims off immediately. We work with the largest general insurance company in the country, who basically are looking at all their past claims data. So what I'm trying to say is that essentially the physical world, making sense of it, which used to take a 6-month project, a 1-year project, and possibly a few crore rupees in development costs, will start happening in minutes. That is the trend that will start to happen. Anjani gave that very good example of his son sort of going into DeepSeek and doing all of those things. A 17-year-old kid can actually write those kind of SQL queries and get that out of the box, right? A second trend that will happen is models will get a lot better. I mean, I'm pretty sure you recruit from the best schools in the country. I'm also sure that you give them a target that you have to be right 100% of the time. Today, models, you're not entirely sure when they're going to be right or wrong. It's not about whether they're right or wrong. You don't know when they're going to be right or wrong, and that's the hallucination part of it. And that's where I think the biggest challenge today happens, where we are not sure. If your analyst did that, I'm pretty sure they won't complete their notice period. In a sense, models will get a lot better. That will be the next big trend. They will get a lot cheaper. With what DeepSeek has taught us in the last 72, 96 hours, is that things can happen at a fraction of a cost now, versus what used to take hundreds of millions of dollars. And what that will lead to is what is called the Jevons paradox, which will essentially mean more usage, which will mean AI will become much more pervasive. So to bring it back together, it will become multimodal. You will have many more use cases which were unheard of because the hurdle rate was very high. It will become low. People will start to adopt. Recommendation, keep it very, very simple. Get your data in order. Today, there is no AI without data. There is no AI strategy without data strategy. If you think, and if you go back into your respective organizations and say, do I have a data platform in place? Do I have a framework in place on which I can analyze this data? Chances are you may not have it. It may not be a single harmonized governed framework, and that is going to be the most critical part of it. So in a sense, the recommendation is get your data in order and then start to experiment, start to build those use cases.
Awesome. if I were to just summarize what would be a trend that I see and what would be a recommendation, the trend that I see that the lines are blurring, across the tech stack that our, elite big tech just articulated, the whole stack matters. The lines will keep blurring, which is why the collaboration across different players will be very, very significant and important. My recommendation would be that the fundamentals have not changed, the reliance on data, the focus on trusted and secured AI, and the closer correlation to business impact. So that will continue to be there. And so long as we stay focused on these in our AI journeys, we'll be just fine. So thank you so much.
Deloitte's AI Forum 2025 India. In real time, transforming with AI.